Marco Cucurella, after the medical, becomes a new Chelsea player. Hey guys, welcome back on the channel from Fabrizio Romano, and as always together to discuss about the transfer market, and together we have a new episode of our monthly episodes of Transfer Insights. Our new story this day is about Marco Cucurella. Remember that everything is powered by Pepsi and Lays, always together with me during the transfer market. Here we have Lays as always. Here we have our Pepsi, always helping me in difficult moments during the transfer market when I need some energy. So thanks to Pepsi and Lays. Remember, you can check their accounts to have all the latest on their products and their collabs. But today, guys, I want to discuss with you about Marc Cucurella deal. What really happened? One of the craziest story of the summer. So let's jump into it together. And guys, the story of Marco Cucurella to Chelsea, in this case Transfer Insights powered by Pepsi and Lays, is something really crazy. Because the whole summer for the Cucurella deal was not easy. Was not just the Chelsea deal. Because what happened? Marco Cucurella in June was really close to joining Manchester City. There was an agreement between Marco Cucurella and Man City on the personal terms. 6-year contract, everything ready. Why? Because Pep Guardiola was looking for a new left-back, quality player. Cucurella had a fantastic season at Brighton with Graham Potter as a manager. The impact was great of Marco Cucurella coming from Spain, coming from Getafe, and having an impact in Premier League in his first season is never so easy. So, great season for Marc Cucurella. But what happened with Manchester City? Man City decided to reach an agreement with the player and then negotiate with Brighton. During June and July, 2 months of negotiations, slow negotiations, because the first step for Man City was to sell players, and they sold Zinchenko, and they sold Sterling, and they sold Gabriel Jesus. So this was the strategy, but then no agreement with Brighton. Why? Because the opening bid from Man City for Cucurella was £30 million, rejected. The second bid was £35 million, rejected. The third and final bid, end of July, from Chiki Begiristain, Ferran Soriano and Pep Guardiola approving the deal for Cucurella, was £40 million. Man City were sure to sign Cucurella for £40 million. So they said, okay, this is going to be our final bid because we expect it will be accepted by Brighton. But the reality is that Brighton were really tough in the negotiations, and they said, no way, we're not accepting £40 million. The player was desperate because he wanted to try a Champions League experience. He wanted to accept that possibility. And so what happens? Marco Cucurella submitted a transfer request to leave Brighton as soon as possible. Brighton are not in an easy position, but they are very good in the negotiation to keep their point and saying no to €40 million to Man City, also with the player not happy. The player doesn't play the first friendly game of the preseason at home to be introduced for the squad of the new season. Marco Cucurella is really strong in his message. He goes back to Barcelona with his agents, so he wants to go, he wants to leave. But the message from Brighton is still the same. We are not accepting £40 million. Difficult weekend for Marco Cucurella after the bid was turned down on a Friday at the end of July, but during that weekend the situation changes because Man City say in a very clear way to the player and also to Brighton that they are not going to improve their bid. Their final bid was £40 million and this is not going to change. And so what happens? The situation is on standby for 24 hours, but during the standby, Todd Boehly appears, and this is the real point of the story. Todd Boehly, Chelsea owner in Mykonos in Greece, calls the agents of Marco Cucurella and asks for a meeting. So, meeting takes place in Greece between the agents of Marco Cucurella and Todd Boehly. Out of nothing, because Chelsea were looking for a right back till that point. But Boehly decides to go for Marco Cucurella as priority signing after deal collapsed with Man City. Why? Because Cucurella can play in a 3-back defense, he can play as left back in a 4-back defense, he can play as left winger in a 3-5-2 system. He's a player that could be perfect for Chelsea for present and future. And one more point, he's a top professional. He's kind of family guy, he's a super professional, he's great in training, he's great in the dressing room. So this kind of player is always appreciated in the top clubs. So Chelsea decided to go for it, for Marc Cucurella. Chelsea decided to reach an agreement on personal terms with Marco Cucurella because they matched the proposal from Man City, also offering something more on the salary, and so agreement Chelsea Cucurella in Greece during the weekend while the deal was in standby with Man City. But the negotiation between Chelsea and Brighton is tough too. As it happened for Man City, it's going to be the same for Chelsea. Brighton are not accepting £40 million. The negotiation is really slow and it takes 2-3 days. Why? Because Chelsea wanted to complete everything in 24 hours to hijack the deal. But Brighton asked for Levy Colwill as part of the deal between Chelsea and Brighton. This talented centre-back who was on loan at Huddersfield, back at Chelsea, and so big opportunity for Brighton. No agreement, because Chelsea want a player to go on loan, Brighton want a player on permanent deal. Cucurella is waiting. Cucurella is just waiting to go to Chelsea after the missed opportunity with Man City. So the situation is really tense. But on a Wednesday night, Chelsea and Brighton reached an agreement for Marco Cucurella. It's for more than £50 million, plus Colwill on loan. This is the agreement, because Chelsea only wanted to give Colwill on loan or on permanent deal, but with a buyback clause. The first agreement is on permanent deal with buyback clause, but then the two clubs complete the agreement, also including this loan deal. So Colwill will be a player of Chelsea in the future. This is the agreement, this is the point, but Brighton deny the news with an official statement. They wanted to negotiate some more details. They wanted to win and win and win on this Cucurella story. And they also wanted to send a message to the player because he was really strong in his position. He wanted to leave Brighton, he wanted to try something different. And so Brighton wanted to send a message also to the player with that tweet, like saying, okay, you want to go, but we're going to fight till the end. The reality is that on that Wednesday night, the deal was almost done between Brighton and Chelsea. I still remember I tweeted he's going to have a medical tomorrow on a Thursday with Chelsea. And this was the case because Marco Cucurella was in London on Thursday morning with his agents and he had his medical at Cobham, Chelsea training ground on Thursday night. The situation was really tense during the last 24 hours of negotiations because Todd Boehly did his best to sign Cucurella and at the end Brighton decided to accept. So a really, really crazy story, and on a Friday morning everything was signed, and after the crazy Man City story, after the tense negotiation between Chelsea and Brighton, Todd Boehly decides to accept all the conditions, Brighton decides to accept the final proposal, and so Marco Cucurella, after the medical, becomes a new Chelsea player. The statement is something epic because Chelsea made some joke of the statement of Brighton denying the news of Cucurella, but the reality is that Chelsea had their new left back, potential centre back, potential left winger, so really versatile player, very good signing for Chelsea. Also, an important point, the most paid left back of the history, but let me mention one thing. During the meetings, this is a top secret, between Marc Cucurella agents and Todd Boehly, and also in the first contact between Cucurella himself and Todd Boehly knew everything about Graham Potter, the Brighton manager. He knew everything because he wanted Potter as future manager for Chelsea. And this is what happened because Thomas Tuchel was fired after the Dinamo Zagreb deal in Champions League. Todd Boehly wanted a new manager and Potter was already top of his list when he negotiated for Cucurella. He was asking to the agents and to the player about Potter. Very good messages from all these sides about the English manager. And so this is how behind the scenes of the Cucurella deal, there was already something for the new future Chelsea manager. This is part of the crazy stories of the transfer market. And so guys, this was the Cucurella story for our Transfer Insights episode powered by Pepsi. As always, you remember guys, with me during the transfer market days and not only, and with Lays. So thanks to our partners for Transfer Insights, as always, powering this episode, this time about Marco Cucurella, the craziest deal of the summer. And remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and let me know your opinion on Cucurella deal here in the comments. Ciao from Fabrizio Romano.